This is Hereward the Woke doing stand-up for Twtwtw on the 14th of November 1921. And it's Armistice Day, but there is no armistice for me. The far-right libertarians who start the wars are the ones laying the wreaths. We fought the Nazis in the 1940s and won. So how come the people laying the wreaths are the descendants of the Nazis we locked up in the UK? This week, the lovely Kate Galloway revealed the challenges of being her husband's carer in Finding Derek, the sequel. Yes, for about the 100th time, she's getting paid for some of these stories. Has she got poor Derek held prisoner in the attic of her house? Yes, poor old Kate lounging about on the GMB sofa while Derek is lying in a pit of his own vomit and urine. Kate is always in tears, whilst poor old Derek just has to laugh as he lies in bed with his legs ballooning to the size of elephants. Antiques news now. An extendable IKEA-like bed has been discovered in a new Pompeii find that's in Italy. Ironically, IKEA are putting adverts on EU8 and GB News. Well, that figures, doesn't it? They're clearly out of contact with their customers. They probably put adverts in Roman Weekly as the Roman Empire slumped into chaos and all IKEA manufacturing was abandoned till the 20th century. It's been November the 5th, so it's not surprising that a footballer was hit by a firework that exploded on the pitch. He could have been blinded. Meanwhile, the entire Manchester United team have had a firework stuck up their arses to improve their performance. Which is what they meant when they said Ole gave his team a rocket in the dressing room, and the team decided to put it up Paul Pogba's arse instead. Just for a change, the police were investigating an hate crime. An hate crime investigation began after "It's okay to be white" posters were plastered around town. Well, it is winter, and snowmen are people too. But the people up north are so woke, they have been giving snowmen coats to keep them warm, and little pipes, and have been offering to put the snowmen in front of the fire. Toughen up, snowflakes! "I ate live ants with Prince George," crowed Bear Grylls. "He was so nervous, but it blew his mind." So whilst the world is dying, Bear Grylls is encouraging Prince George to destroy ant colonies. He's a sort of lower middle-class David Attenborough, isn't he? He blew George's mind, did he? What, are they psychedelic ants or something? You'll start talking to plants like Grandad Boy. Be careful. Things you didn't know or care about last week. Ariel has a piece of Simon Cowell's jeans and says it has aphrodisiac qualities. So what have we got here? Ari is clearly trying to wangle a seat on X Factor with Dawn French. Are these the jeans Simon was wearing when he broke his back on his bicycle? Do they have skid marks on them? As it happens, Simon Cowell has a piece of Ariel's jeans and said he wouldn't swap them for the world. Well, you'd have to throw in a bit of cash as well, wouldn't you? The press said this week that Jeremy Clarkson faced a backlash over weird and angry Greta Thunberg comments, straight from the National Front playbook. Former Top Gear hosts had said that the teenage climate activist needed a smack bottom. Blah, 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 Jeremy. If she does need a smack bottom, she won't want to get one from you, will she? So, has Caleb got fed up with you or something? With pervos like Clarkson about, we aren't going to get any climate change, are we? Is Joe Biden the new Mr. Trump? Camilla hasn't stopped talking about hearing the president break wind during a chat at the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow. When Prince Charles breaks wind, Camilla bottles it and sells it on eBay. I've heard that Prince Charles's roller is powered by wind from the backside of Charles and Camilla. Another first-rate contribution to climate change, Charlie boy. This week, an ed teacher refused to feed children who are more than a penny in debt to school. So this character isn't going for an OBE for services to school dinners like Marcus Rashford, is he? Italy's latest tactic to beat the mafia is to take away the mobsters' children. The only problem with this, if you tried it in the UK on Boris, he'd welcome it. But Boris wouldn't miss them. He doesn't know who they bloody are, does he? Now, just to give you sleepless nights, we learned that nearly 80,000 foreign criminals go under the radar as checks have fallen by the wayside, thereby providing a very useful source of employees for MPs and local government officers. Australian PM Paul Keating called British PM Boris Johnson a coconut head and the UK a theme park sliding into the Atlantic as he ridiculed every Western leader about their dealings with China. So, the UK is a theme park, is it? Sliding into the Atlantic. Presumably with global warming, he means Aqua World of Adventure, doesn't he? Whilst Australia is a massive glowing cinder full of knuckleheads and dead animals. Now we've all caught coronavirus. The papers can return to their best friend. Potholes cause thousands of breakdowns a year, but the worst councils reject 99% of drivers' claims for damages. Campaigner Mark Burrell, known as Mr. Pothole, said if you can see the pothole on Google Street View and the timestamp is dated before the most recent inspection, then you could prove the council should have picked it up before you hit it. Well, he's a man stuck up his own pothole, isn't he? Yes, we'll all sleep easy tonight, now that we know Mr. Pothole has got our backs. However, I think potholes are the things we should be worrying about least, what with global warming and the roads being underwater. I think Mr. Pothole drinks in a Wetherspoons with Nigel Farage, Jeremy Clarkson, GB News and Charlie Mullen. This week, Prince Harry was cancelled. He was blocked from wearing military uniform when he hands out Forces Awards this week. Don't worry, Harry, you can always go back to wearing your fancy dress Nazi uniform. That will put the Daily Mail more at ease, won't it? Prince Harry also jokes he is living the American dream. It was in a speech to the American Veterans Gala, according to the Evening Standard. Is that the far-right American dream where the own shaman takes over the country and elects Donald Trump as his vice president? The records of 320,000 Punjabi soldiers from the First World War were uncovered after 100 years. The government said they thought they were probably all dead. Well, they did their best back in 1918, didn't they? I bet the first bloke over the top probably wore a bloody turban, didn't he? Sean Ryder, a man who should be on the Discovery Channel, said fans offer him drugs whenever they see him out shopping. Have you seen the Happy Mondays recently? They look more like the Miserable Wednesdays now, don't they? Drugs they offer Sean are Filosan for the over 40s and Biostrath Elixir. If Sean took any actual drugs, he'd shrivel up and look like a zombie. Come to think of it, he actually does look like a zombie, doesn't he? The uncle of shamed huntswoman, who was filmed kicking and slapping an horse this week, said she's a fantastic person and was only reprimanding it. However, the RSPCA left a card at her front door telling her to get in touch, and she has had to go into hiding after death threats. My only question is, would she have kicked and slapped the horse if it had been a pit bull terrier and not a frightened little pony? And now we're going to finish up with Sleaze. What was Mr. Sleaze Geoffrey Cox doing in the British Virgin Islands, asked the Independent this week? Making bloody sandcastles and paddling about on inflatable unicorns or nicking stuff? You tell me. This has been Hereward the Woke for TWTW. See you all next week.